Grateful salutations at the divine lotus feet of our beloved Master, who is ever present with us, who is the source of our inspiration, who is continuing to guide us, to shower His infinite love on us. We are forever grateful for the Master's presence in our lives. Dear elder brothers, I don't think I should say uncles and aunties. I think I've crossed that stage now. But dear elder brothers and sisters, my dear younger brothers and sisters and children, it's a great privilege to be back here. The memories of the previous visit to Malaysia, the serendipitous visit to Malaysia, has been so enriching, has been so powerful. And the energy that I see in this lovely country, the energy, the Sai energy that I see here is unbelievable. The quality of bhajans, the quality of emceeing, the quality of the attention to details in everything that the organization does here is, absolutely makes this a Prashanti Nilaya. The discipline of Swami, the discipline, the care to every single detail that I had seen at Pati, at Prashanti Nilaya, in Bhagwan's presence, I see here. I am always amazed at the discipline that has been inculcated into the organization by Bhagwan. And it is only the presence of Swami that I feel here is unbelievable, dear brothers and sisters. Take it from me. This is truly Prashanti Nilayam that you have all created. This place does not belong to us. Nothing belongs to us. But the congregation, the coming together, and the transformation of this physical location into a home, into an altar of love. I think that's what the divine mission is all about, and I think that has been done unbelievably well here in Malaysia. I was told to choose a topic, and this happens to be like a broken tape. I speak about this topic about the sculptor and the statue, because it gives me a lot of ability to, a lot of energy, and a great amount of love emanates from the heart when I think about this topic, about how Bhagwan has continuously been molding each one of us. And to use this as a framework. A framework is I had a definition in the morning. A framework, I felt, is a ploy to engage the mind as we irrigate the heart. Right? Otherwise, the mind goes everywhere. It tries to search for some intellectual engagement, tries to search some thought. So here is a framework that is created to engage the mind, but the whole purpose here is to irrigate the heart, to fill our heart with love, to soften the marubhumi, as Swami says. The desert, the dry, the arid land of the heart needs to be irrigated every once in a while with the stories of the divine. And that is what we will be doing in the whole day today. I think there are wonderful sessions that have been created. I know the amount of work that has happened behind. I have got a wonderfully packed 3 days with the brothers and sisters. I spent the last 4 days, having interactions with the various teams, the Bal Vikas, the EHV team, the Sathya Sai school team, the youth team yesterday, and day before yesterday, and with the SCP team. The amount of work, the variety of work, the variety of age groups that the organization works with, it gives you so much of thought, so much of anchors for engagement, right? And for every age group and for whatever kind of work that you are interested in, the organization has been has created the right kind of an environment for all of us to engage. So the topic that I have chosen has got 3 points of views, and the point of view of the statue, the point of view of the Jivatma, that is getting sculpted, the point of view of the Paramatma, the master himself, to focus on what the master sees as he sculpts, what is his vision, what is his way of looking at each one of us. That would be our exploration, our a framework that we'll try to create in the second talk. And finally, the vision of the master as an architect, not as a sculptor per se, but as an architect who has created this entire universe and has created us, all the Jivatmas here, to sculpt each other. And what kind of a framework that he has created, and how does that feed into our entire organizational work? How does that drive the energy, drive the vision and energizes the vision towards oneness? I think that is what we'll explore today in the 3. That's the intention to explore. Let's see how much we succeed. 3 sessions, and I'm looking forward to Brother Suresh Govind's session also, and the multiple sessions. I was told that it's difficult to keep hearing people speak so much, so we have to introduce dances and other things. I'm so grateful for that, for the lively program that has been created. I will touch upon the brother and his son who danced just now. That brought back so many memories rushing back, but I will touch upon during the course of the speech. As he was speaking, I just quickly came and added one more line into my speech, and it brought back a memory. And that's the beauty of interacting with. That's the beauty of satsang. As you talk to others, as you speak, as you get exposed to your brothers and sisters, memories start rushing back, and you start reliving your life. You start literally reviewing your life from a different point of view. So let me look at the first part of the framework, the life of the Jivatma, the statue, the rock that is picked up by the Divine Master. Actually, Sukumaran almost completed all the 3 speeches in his few references. So I was wondering what should I be speaking. I thought that, okay, let the high-level points that he has mentioned, let me deep dive into those, and then let's do that. And that's the essence, is it not? It's everything that Swami has created is actually beautifully intuitive. There is nothing too difficult to understand, to comprehend. But then there are layers and layers and layers within every teaching of Swami. It depends on how much time we spend on reflection, how much time we spend in the sadhana. And as we keep spending time, more and more layers open up, more and more perspectives broaden in our lives. So just a thought process of what happens before we realize that the Divine has touched us. We are in a monolith rock. We are pebbles on the shore, on the streets. We are maybe a part of a large rock system, and we are inert. We continue to do our daily work. We go on our daily activities without being aware of the larger reality in life, without being aware of the deeper meaning in life, without being aware of our true self. And that's the rock that Bhagwan sees and decides that I will pick up one of them. But to get picked up, there is an intense desire that keeps coming. And I strongly was impressed, was tremendously impressed by this one statement of Swami, that the proper study of mankind is man. He says that you don't have to study the entire mankind to understand what humanity is all about. You just have to understand one person, and the best person to understand is your own self. Right? To know that your journey is actually the same journey, quintessential journey of all other humans together. Right? So if you really reflect deeply, and if you take out the peripherals of specifics of examples, your life journey is the same as every other human being's journey. Right? And this was the journey of a few of us in the hostel. right? Who were staying in, who had been, who had been picked up by Swami in the college and had got the admission. And the first vision, the first view of Bhagwan is the Shravanam, is what we hear, the hearsay of the hostel, the stories that we heard about our predecessors, our contemporaries who have been transformed by the glorious touch of Bhagwan. Right? The Shravanam creates the first pining to be part of, to be picked up. And you are no longer the rock that is satisfied being a rock out there in a pebble. You know that you become keenly aware that you are just a pebble here, but there is something more to being a pebble that is being rubbed on by each other amongst the peers. You realize that there is something more to be achieved in a Sathya Sai system than being a meaningless existence, and that's the listening in. And then you start recanting those stories. Those stories become internalized, and you start talking about it. Yeah, I mean, did you know about? Did you hear about the way this person was transformed by Bhagwan? Did you And in the hostel there would be something called Parayanam sessions, and each of us would recount stories. We would not just listen, but start. That becomes our not just the divine singing, but the kirtana in a certain way is a Parayanam that we keep talking about our desires, about our vision, about our desires to be closer to Swami. And that continues to go on in the head, the smarana that happens. The Navagita Bhakti has started, even without knowing in the hostel that Swami had created. And that is what we create in this satsang also. Right? We create the aspiration, we create the desire to be more than the normal, ordinary life that we otherwise lead. And as we keep doing the smarana, as we keep doing, thinking about daydreaming to be closer to the sculptor, getting up early, this rush for getting the front line in the darshans, getting ready, picking up the best of whites, going to darshan. That excitement of going closer and closer. It is all the effort of the jivatma. Like pick me up, kind of a thing. That effort keeps going on. I remember one of my birthdays, going to the Pada Sevana aspect. What keenly touched me was all of us during the birthdays, we used to be given a tray and we could go and sit in the front, and there used to be chocolates, and we would offer the chocolate to Swami, and he would take and throw the chocolates to everybody. The morning or evening darshan, whenever we go. Another beautiful aspect of the birthday darshan is that we give akshata, the yellow rice, to Bhagwan, and he would take and sprinkle it on all of us. One of my favorite games during that morning on the portico was with the sparrows. Because after darshan gets over and Swami goes for the interview, the sparrows start coming and landing. They come and land for the akshatas, right? And one of the games that we used to play is that we used to take one grain of rice and then flick it towards the sparrows, and the sparrow would jump up, and then it knows that okay, there is something, some food is being, and we'll flick slower and slower, hoping that the sparrow would come closer and closer. Memories of the darshan place, the place that is pious to all of us. The memories of Bhagwan is associated with everything around it, and I remember, these are just memories that keep flooding, and as we keep thinking of the smarana, it becomes richer and richer. And that day, I remember after interview, Swami used to come and do a sign this way, and all the students would come very close to the bhajan hall door, just outside the interview room, and we would always sit. The birthday boys had the chance to go first, and they would sit and they would keep their trays. And then the entire gang would, rush towards the thing, and there would be a stampede that would happen, and everybody would cover that place, and they would sit. So I remember sitting in the front. Closest memory of Bhagwan on that day was, holding the tray, and I saw Swami come and stand. I was sitting down there. Swami was on one step higher, and as he was standing and talking, I was a non-existent youngster down there sitting. And Swami was talking to some of the boys whom he would regularly talk to. And I realized that my tray, the corner of my tray, was almost poking into Swami's tender toe. I remember pulling the tray back, covering it with a cloth so that it doesn't hurt Swami. And while doing it, I saw the beautiful feet of Swami. I just touched the feet and did that. The whole focus was on making sure that Swami doesn't get hurt. Pulled it back. And I finished my whole ritual down there, taking out the tray, keep covering it and touching it and doing that. And I looked up. Swami was talking to others, had stopped talking, and he was looking straight. He was looking at me. And that eye contact, from a very close proximity of looking up at Swami and Swami looking down tenderly, kindly, lovingly, that got imprinted on my heart. And I remember the keenness of that desire, that agony, that Swami, is this all? Can there not be more? Can I not be picked up? That cry from the heart of the statue, cry of the rock to get picked up. I remember running all the way to the hostel after the bhajan. I could not face anybody. I was, in the hostel, I was a boisterous young man. I was from Mumbai, one of the noisiest cities in Mumbai. And I was a noisy young boy. And I had to maintain a reputation of being noisy and jazzy and cool in the hostel, right? And I could not be seen as emotional and quote unquote spiru was the word that it was saying, oh, he's a spiru guy, man. He's slightly off kind of a thing. So you have that peer pressure to be the cool, the in guy, but that day I just could not bear to be with anybody. I ran to the stadium. I remember I climbed the hill just next to that Hanuman statue, that waterfalls. I climbed up. I did not go by the road. I just climbed the hill. That was so much of energy, so much of agony, and went back behind the Hanuman statue and sat there and cried and cried and cried my heart out till it became dark. The sun had set and it was the full moon day, and the moon had started rising from behind the hostel. And I remember the pining of the heart. And each one of us, dear brothers and sisters, we know that pining. There has been an evening, there has been a night, there has been a dark night in our lives where we have cried out for the Lord, where we felt that, is this all in life? Is this the summum bonum of my existence? What more? And that desire, that call to the divine, pick me up, Swami, is what he eventually listens to. That brings on the desire to excel. You want to be seen by Bhagwan. I remember the dance that brother and his son did. For me, I was again the cool Bombay dude, right, in the hostel. But as the sports meet came, I was looking at what should I participate in. There was a motorcycle stunt, there were gymnastics. I went to the gymnastics. It looked quite cool, but I knew that my body wasn't strong enough to do the tumble and the somersault that were required. I didn't know how to ride a bike. The only experience of riding a bike was to drop my father's bike and get beaten for that. So bikes were out of question. And then somebody took me to the dance practice that was going on. And all of a sudden I realized that I loved Bharatanatyam. Right? And so the cool dude started doing Bharatanatyam. Right? And as I started doing, I found myself doing well amongst those 30 of the kids. I was first given the role of a Danava. So there was a dance called Da 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 dance, and Daya Karo, Sabupar Daya Karo, that terrible dance, that kind of a thing. And the elder brothers, they saw that this chap is doing well in some, there were two dances, and they realized I was putting, so they promoted me from a Danava to a Deva. Right? And so it was a nice dance, and so it was a beautiful dance. They were interpreting the three instructions from Brahma. Brahma gives lightning, da da da, and the devas, the Danavas, they interpret da as daya, saying that you should do daya, you should have compassion. So daya karo, sabupar daya karo. That was the song for that, and everybody was dancing with that, and everything. And then the humans, they interpret Da as Dana. So, Dan Kar, Kalyan Kar, that was the song for the Devas. And for the Manavas and the gods, they define it as Daman. That means to have control over the senses. So, Sukha Sampann hone se kya? Indriyon ke daman bina. So it was a nice classical dance, and I started dancing there, and then I realized that was my thing. And in all the dances after that, on all the sports meet after that, I started dancing, and I got the chance to do Shiva Tandava in Kuchipudi style. I got to do an Ashtalakshmi Aradhana in a Kathak style. So 1 month there would be a coach who would come and he would teach the dance. And the point is, full dude suddenly wants to be picked up, who wants to be picked up, and is trying every possible thing to get the attention, pick me up, not realizing that in the process of trying, he is actually getting polished. Right? There is some polishing happening here, right? And even without making a single stroke, here is the divine who has created the system to do a little bit of self-polishing. Let's see which of the rocks keep coming up, and that's how dance was one of the views. Drama was another act, and I remember acting as Sahadeva with just one dialogue in two words in the whole drama, the entire drama. I can't was my life. I was supposed to lift the phala of Romarishis. There was a beautiful scene about Romarishi, and my only dialogue was, I lift that thing. I can't. That was all. But I was feeling like so happy that I was part of the drama. And then I got a role of Saint Peter, where I had some nonsensical dialogue. Well, that 2 and 2 makes 5, makes 4. Sometimes I was talking nonsense on the stage, but happy that I was in a brown dyed gown. It was a sack. They had made the sack, dyed it brown and made a hole in that, and then put it over my neck. There was a mic, that was long mic that was coming through with the wire coming out, and it was stuck inside that. And we were proud. 70 years. It was a birthday drama on the big stage of the Shanti Vedika. Right? Just one line. A scientist sitting next to Jesus Christ and having a drama. And you got a chance to enter the interview room, and I saw Swami talking to Jesus Christ, and even more. When will you talk to me, boss? Right? What am I? I mean, I'm Saint Peter. I mean, Jesus came and went. Peter built the entire church. Right? He was the rock on which the church was built. I mean, talk to me. No. Shiva Tandava. I did Shiva Tandava. I was Shiva alone. I danced all alone on that entire stage. Pride, okay, the pride is coming in. The Bombay cool dude ego is always there, right? He's saying that he's becoming bigger and bigger, and the ego is becoming bigger. And Swami doesn't speak. I remember, finishing the entire drama and going late. I was in the Shiva costume, riding a motorcycle behind my friend, and going, rushing to the mandir for the photograph. I go, by the time Swami had already given photographs and he had gone inside. So I'm like, somebody had compassion, and he pulled Shiva and said, you sit there. Swami, when he comes out, probably he'll give you a photograph. So I sat there, with my entire Shiva costume, panting, sweating, my mustache, nicely there, and I sat there, and my mustache fell down. These are memories, memories of the rock, and it was with the whole, jata juta, and with the makeup and all those things. Without the mustache, I looked like a girl, right? Because it's like, and my friends say they didn't stop giving me a tough time about that, So I had to hear about that for a long, long time. And at the pinnacle of being a Shiva, and then getting, pulled, the leg getting pulled because of that. The excellence, the desire to excel, the desire to attract Bhagwan, to pull his attention, draw his attention to yourself. Pick me up, son. Pick me up. Pick me up. Pick me up. But it doesn't come that easily. And my drama progressed. I started getting better roles. And for the 70th birthday of Swami, I had the main role finally. Right? I had I had the role of the father of a child who has a hole in his heart. I had the maximum number of lines. I yelled my heart out on the stage. I cried my guts out. Anjali Devi, who was one of the greatest actresses of Tamil film, she was deeply appreciative. I told her, you are doing such a right? That she was so happy with acting, and then Bhagwan came and created a chain and gave it to the small kid. He was my son. I have my brother and his son doing the thing. Like, I should have felt proud that my son got the thing. I went backstage. I cried my gut out. Forget the cool dude act. This is my final year in the hostel. 5 years I've spent, and I haven't had the opportunity of Bhagwan picking me up and talking to me. I've seen so many of my brothers having been picked up. So many of my brothers having got an opportunity. So I could see them getting transformed. I could see, the ruffian along with me who got picked up and suddenly become a gentleman. I thought, what happened to you, dude? And how does perspective change? How does your demeanor change? How does your clothing change? How does everything about you change? What is he doing? And that desire to be picked up for 5 years, and then all of a sudden, it's after the drama, Swami starts pulling my leg every once in a while. Where is the son? And actually rubbing it in that I gave a chain to him. So he's saying, where is your son in the drama? And then he would go and ask the little boy, where is your father sitting? So suddenly I became that, there is a possibility that I may probably get picked. Right? That aspiration. And then again, nothing. For months together, for couple of months, it goes on. And then one day in the middle of the bhajan, 4 bhajans had already got over. I was sitting in the portico, where the current samadhi is, and Bhagwan comes all the way out during the bhajan. After having sat on his throne, he gets up, comes straight to me, and comes close to my ear. His hair almost touching my cheeks, and as if he's going to tell a secret. Bhajans are going on. He comes very close and shouts into my ear, right? Come with me to Kodaikanal, don't tell anybody. No full stop, no comma. Come with me to Kodaikanal, don't tell anybody. And that's where you get picked up, where the rock gets picked up. After all the pining, after all the challenges and all the things, the rock gets picked up. And the rock is a prince. He was already a cool dude from Bombay, and the ego was out there. The first aspect of the rock getting picked up is that I have arrived. Right? The thing that I am now picked up. I am being groomed by Bhagwan. You feel the joy, you feel the first, the only feeling at that point of time is that, oh wow, what a feeling. You get a chance to go to Kodaikanal. You get a chance to ride in the car with Bhagwan. You feel you are on the top. And Bhagwan builds that up even more. He says that, Nikem Ramu Prince Ra, what shortcomings do you have? You are a prince. And you feel really out there. You're getting big. You know that, Eid time, right? It's like halal ka bakra. Right? It's like you are being fattened for a purpose. Right? There is some beautiful thing going to come. And it is, and that those strokes then start coming, and that's the carving, that's the sculpting that's about to begin. You have been filled, you have been anointed, you have all the whatever needs to be done, you have been separated. And what are the strokes? But then the strokes start coming, right? What are the most important stroke that he makes is on ahankara, right? On your view of yourself, your akara, the akara of your aham, the form of your ego, your self-image is the one that he starts chiseling first. Who are you? Why attachment? Abhimanam was the word that I learned for the first time. The first Telugu word I heard was Abhimanam. Abhimanam is, the way he defined Abhimanam. Actually, it means attachment, but the way he defined Abhimanam is that వాళ్ళు ఏం చేస్తారు, వీళ్ళు ఏం చేస్తారు, దానిపైన మీకు గమనం చాలా ఎక్కువ. What will he say, what will she say, what will they say, that is your definition of yourself. You believe too much on that. You are more worried about what they will say. And when you look at that, dear brothers and sisters, especially my younger brothers and sisters, just go reflect, see how much of your life is defined by what others say. About everything about you, the dress that you pick up, the hairstyle that you make up, the straightening of your hair that you do with your with the I'm giving a hint to someone out there. So right, everything is defined by the self-image of you that has been created by somebody else. Right? Everything is about an image that has been created by the world for you. What your father says, what your mother says, what your brother says, what your friend says, what everybody else says about you defines you. వాళ్ళేం చేస్తారు, వీళ్ళేం చేస్తారు, వాళ్ళేం చెప్తారు, వీళ్ళేం చెప్తారు, what will they say, what will this person say, what will that person say, that defines you. And he starts giving tasks around that. I remember in Kodaikanal we had gone and Swami had given a shirt, right? And it was a different kind of a shirt. Probably it's appropriate in Thailand and Malaysia, or I don't know where that shirt had come from. It was a beautiful shirt, slightly short, lots of embroideries, right? I mean, there were like all kind of frills everywhere, and all of us were like with a question mark look. Right? We are cool dudes, right? It's a white shirt with so much of frill. And we were like, we had to wear it in Kodaikanal, and we all wore it in Kodaikanal, took a photograph with Swami, and made a pact with Amanda that never ever will we take this shirt out. It will be in the altar in Swami's chair, and no way. And when we came back to Vrindavan, my parents were supposed to come, and Swami had told them, you tell them to come, I will give them an interview. And to even greater thing, Swami said that I will send you to pick them up from the railway station. Go pick them up, I will send you in a car. And Swami said, wear that shirt and go. I remember my friend, my very, very good friend, Manish, is a dear brother of mine. We spent many years serving Swami together. He had the biggest laughter in the world, and the way he laughed, Sathya, you're going to go to the railway station in that kind of thing. I tell it's in the evening, man. Just wear something over that and go, kind of thing. I said, I mean, whatever it is, I need to follow the instructions. So I was wearing that tight-fitting shirt with all that frills. Who are you? How much will you follow? How will you come out of the definition of yourself in others' views? How much are you willing to follow Swami's teaching? How much are you willing to follow Swami's words? Right? And I remember many years later, Manish was getting married, and it was in 2007 probably, or 2008. I'll get beaten by Mrs. Manish for forgetting the date. But anyway, so he was getting married, and we were picking up a suit. Swami was picking up a suit for him. I mean that pilot Sharma Kodku. His father was in charge of the airport at that point of time, and he was the one who had first flown Swami to Delhi, Mr. Sharma, his son. So Manish had studied in the university for a long time, had served, and Swami was searching for a sari for the bride and a suit for the boy. And as I was picking up the various suits and showing to Swami, I was feeling happy that my brother is getting married. And Swami, no, Manish Manapillawadu is our boy. He will not wear that. Give him a white shirt, white suit. Right? So I thought Swami marriage suit. No, white. No, he doesn't wear. So I gave a white suit. So many years later, I did not get to speak to him later. But after 2011, his wife tells me, like, I was like with all the bedecked and with the best of saris and all jewelry. and my husband comes like a sevadal. And I then had the opportunity to laugh the way Manish had laughed at me. Right? But the point is, what will you do? How do you define your self-image? How much are you willing to be sculpted by the divine? What is the level of your resistance? What is your level of acceptance? Where do you draw a line? I remember, Swami had given me an umbrella. It was that long umbrella, not the folding one, that long umbrella which opens. He had given me an umbrella. He told her, once I had come to Mandir, I had a few drops of water on my this thing, it had just rained, and Swami lovingly gave me an umbrella. And for the next few weeks, it was not raining. You don't see rain too often. It's the sun that we see most of the time. And so I had kept the umbrella in the hostel. And when I came to the Mandir, Swami said, "Hey, where's your umbrella?" I said, "Swami, it's not raining, it's in the hostel." "Oh, intlo pettananiki ichana neeku. Did I keep it in the hostel?" So, I thought we did it for the rain. Anyway, but while going back, it rained and I was tense. But then, for the next 1 year, whatever be the, irrespective of the weather, I had an umbrella with me. And fellows started making fun of me, that there is an umbrella boy kind of a thing, right? Where's the umbrella man? Kind of, how can you manage without the umbrella? I was like the cool dude from Bombay was the butt of the joke. I used to be the king of ragging everybody else. I used to pull everybody's legs, and I was getting pulled because of the umbrella. But I didn't let go. Right? How much are you willing to accommodate? It is, I'm using this word very strongly, okay? Very, very consciously. But how much are you willing to accommodate God in your lives? It starts with that. You're accommodating God, right? Before God accommodates you into His plan. You don't realize that God is accommodating you into His plan, but how much are you accommodating God into your scheme of things, into your your life that is defined by your peers? I hope the youngsters are listening, right? It is about engaging with a larger vision and accommodating the larger vision into your life. And that is the process, that is the chiseling that is happening to separate that rock from that monolith mountain called peer pressure. He's taking that rock out. Because only when you find your individuality will you find the ability to evolve. Because otherwise, there is too much noise, especially in today's world, I can see children, they are continuously bombarded by the internet, and to add things worse, first of all, the intelligence is dulled, and now we have something called artificial intelligence coming, right? I mean, people are asking ChatGPT a suggestion. ChatGPT, you're asking suggestions, what book should I read? Start yesterday. So I got the children are asking suggestions to the ChatGPT about the books. At least they're asking good suggestions. Right? I read about a statement where somebody committed suicide after he got suggestions from the ChatGPT, and the wife is now suing OpenAI for this. It is not only the peer pressure that is defining you today; that is an artificial pressure that is defining you. How does transformation happen? How do we give the opportunity for the divine to sculpt? How does He take you out of that monolith rock and pull you out to start? One day, as I started being close to Swami used to call me for interviews on a regular basis. Swami would take me out for a drive, and started becoming visible in other sides. Right? But that was not enough. I had to find myself back in the school, in the hostel. I had to be part of that team. I cannot be separated because I was feeling isolated in the hostel. I wanted to go back. I wanted to talk to them. And then came the master stroke, the big stroke of Swami that was like a dynamite to really take that rock out of that monolith. He made an announcement to the hostel. He had called me for the interview in the morning, and I went to the interview room on a Thursday morning. And I missed the morning prayer session in the school, in the college. He ensured that normally he would send me early and so that I could attend the prayer session. That day, the interview was long, and about 8:45 I reached the hostel, reached the institute. And this was a time when Swami had stopped talking to the boys. He was, acting as if he's unhappy with the boys and he's not talking to them. And he had made the registrar, who was then the registrar, Lakshmi Narasimhan, he made an announcement saying that, Swami is very unhappy with all of you. Satyajit is a very good boy. You should go and tell him to pray to Swami that he should forgive you all. You can imagine. I think some of you will understand what happens. What happens to you when you are singled out that way, right? I can understand the elders probably who have forgotten what it means to be a child, a youngster at that point of time, feeling, oh wow, what a wonderful gift Swami has given. But I can see the brothers telling, oh my God, you're dead. Oh my God, you're dead. And this, I very clearly remember two different sets of boys. Some boys, the devotional guys who came, one brother came running to me and told, Brother Satyajit, go please pray to Swami. I'm a veterinary doctor. I have finished my veterinary sciences and I have come for MBA. Who does an MBA after doctor doing a medicine? I only come here for Swami and Swami is not talking to us. Brother, go talk to Swami. And on the other side, there are like 10 of them sitting and standing and watching me. Who are you, man? Who are you? And that was the stroke. I could never go back like one of them into that group again. Right? I became isolated. It took me years after 2011, right? This was in 96. It took me years after 2011 to reconnect back to my brothers, right? And be one of them. But it set me apart at that moment. How are we creating that opportunity? Are we creating that opportunity for our young brothers and sisters as an organization, a reflection for our organization? What are we doing? What is our equivalent of that dynamite that Swami blasted on that day to pull you out of that peer pressure? It was completely different. I know the next time there was an industrial visit, Swami, I was in Purachandra, I was in Vrindavan, and as Swami sent me, he organized to buy a new pair of shoes. I did not have black shoes. Who has shoes in Parthi, right? We are either with chappal or with borrowed chappals or what we call as nationalized chappals. Right? We just whatever chappal you find, you get and wear. Who has black shoes there? And so I was in my white shirt, white pant, black shoes, and it looks very odd, but white shirt, white pant, and black shoes, which Swami had very lovingly brought. And he said, if you speak to anybody in the bus, don't come inside to pray Vrindavan again. So I was sitting in the bus with all my classmates, sitting at the window seat, looking out of the window, as if my life depends on if somebody comes and talks to me, I'm dead. Right? And that's the kind of sculpting, and that is what sculpting is all about. And then you start realizing, have I signed up for something wrong? Right? There's this question, why am I the chosen one? Right? There is one of the beautiful questions that brother had sent as part of the youth program. They have sent a long list of questions, and one of the questions is, why am I the chosen one? Why am I the chosen one? There's a beautiful movie called Fiddler on the Roof. Has anybody seen that movie, Fiddler on the Roof? Anybody has heard about this? It's a beautiful movie about the Jews in Russia and the kind of struggle that they face as they are evicted from place to place, and how it's about tradition. Right? It's a beautiful thing about tradition. It's about how they manage, how the Jewish community manage their tradition, their continued tradition in the face of change. That's the theme of the movie, and there's one protagonist called Tevya in it, who continuously talks to God. It's a beautiful scene. Every now and then he will look up and he'll talk to God. Right? And in one of the scenes, he's got a bad news about some Christian activity that's going to happen on his daughter's wedding day. And he comes out and he looks at God. Today Of all the days, is this the day you have to give me this news? I know, we are your chosen people. But every once in a while, can you not choose someone else? It's a very common question. Can you not choose someone else? Do you need to choose me? Choosing becomes picking on, right? Why did you pick me? Because why do you pick on me? Can you not choose someone else? The agony starts coming. I want to do something else, man. What is this bhajan? What on this Saturday? Why this Satya comes to Malaysia on Saturday, man? My whole weekend, Saturday, Sunday, everything is gone. Why? My husband has told me to decide. Do you want Swami or do you want me? Well, every weekend you are going. Can you not pick someone else? Can you not pick someone else? That's what goes on with the statue. The statue who was asking, for so many times, saying that, can you not pick me, Lord, pick me, Lord, pick me, Lord, is now saying that, God, can you not pick someone else? There are so many rocks out there. You can make an entire temple, you can make the entire Gopuram with them. Right? Why do you pick only me? There is fatigue that's it. And Bhagwan gives him chance to opt out. Do you want to go out? He gave me a box of jewelry. He said that I have created this big box. He opened that in the interview room and said, I have created every single one. Here is the Mangal Sutra, here is the jewels, here is the bangles, here is the entire jewelry set, and here is a bundle of cash. Go get married, live a peaceful life. Go. Nivalla kaadu. You will not be able to do this. Go. I remember, I have never looked away from something with the intensity that I did that day. I thought, hey, Churu, see, Swami has material, Churu. I have done this, I have created. Can you not see? I thought, no, Swami, I don't want. I was pushing it all. I want only Swami, I want only Swami. Where is the commitment? Are you ready to do the commitment? Are you ready to give the commitment? I will bless you. I will do everything for you. Go. I was still in my MBA. I was doing my first year MBA. I was still 24. I don't know whether at 28 if he had given me, I would have taken that time. But then once you make the choice for this, I remember in Purnachandra, in Trai Vrindavan, after the entire Trai sessions, after the bhajans had got over, Swami had not called the boys. Normally Swami would call the boys for a Trai session. He had not called the boys that day, and he went upstairs. So I was sitting upstairs alone with him. It was twilight. It was the darkness was just beginning to set in, and I was doing Pad Seva all alone. He had not switched on the light. He just switched one small dim light. I still remember every single aspect of that. And there Swami had asked me, "Hey, marriage karta hai? Do you want to be married?" And matter of factly, I said, "Not now, Swami. Not now, Swami." Because I was the cool dude from Bombay yet, right? I was still fresh at that point of time. This was much early in my life with Swami. Just maybe a month into having been picked up, still raw with all that, the Bombay cool dude things there. And he told, "Marriage karta hai?" I told, "Not now, Swami." "Oh, baad mein karta hai?" And he said, "You are mine. You are mine." I should have rejoiced. And I looked at Swami and I was doing that prayer, feeling numb. I remember Swami had given a small room to me, and I went down into that room. My brother was there, and I lay on the bed. It was twilight. As I was going back from Trai Vrindavan to that room behind Trai, it was beautiful sunset. It was a beautiful twilight sky there. My heart was dark. My heart was pitch dark. I went to the room and I cried. I slept. I lay down on the pillow and I cried my life out. My eyes out. Saying that I do not want this. I had a life planned for myself. I know that I want to do my MBA, my MSc, because I wanted to stay a couple of years. I joined for MBA. I want to finish my MBA. I want to get a job. I want to get married. I want to lead an ordinary life that anybody else leads. That was that, because you have not seen anything else. That is what the youngster wants. That is what the rock wants. And I cried and cried and cried. But I realized that as I cried, it was as if I was lamenting the death of the future that I had created for myself, that I had imagined for myself. That the Jivatma has its plan, the Jivatma makes plans, but the divine Paramatma, when he picks up, he has other plans for you. He has plans that are much more beautiful, that you have never ever imagined. And when that realization dawned, I slowly subsided, the crying subsided. I remember my brother, he was 16, he was getting worried, what has happened with this guy? That was sobbing into the pillow. I told, don't talk to me, just let me be. And I cried. And as my thing calmed, as I came out, it was pitch dark outside. Now, I knew that I had to take my brother to dinner. It was pitch dark outside, but there was Deepavali in my heart. Right? That twilight outside, my heart was dark. But once that reconciliation comes, that yes, Master, I have been picked up. I understand now what it means to be picked up. There was brightness in my heart. I remember the joy, the spring in my feet as I took my brother to dinner that evening. This was June 8th, June 10th, 1996, probably, sometime in early June. And you know, he had just started speaking to me in April that year. It was 2 months into that life, and he had set out the tone. And that is the agony that each one of us goes through. And as the self-doubt starts coming in, you know, as we keep going in and out, we feel whether it is worth going through that difficult path. That question always comes, because the Jivatma, that rock, is not an inert rock. That rock is a living rock. The sculpting is happening on a living being, on a lively entity. As we start thinking about the organization, as we go at the third part, when we do the architect part, we will start applying these thoughts to the organization, and we will start, you know, taking out parallels from this. Right? But how are we creating these opportunities for our brothers and sisters who are joining us? I remember a beautiful poem that my dear daughter had written, and when I was sitting here. I don't know where 14-year-olds get these thoughts, and she says, as if, you know, it's as if a 50-year-old is writing this. Says, I used to come to you for comfort once. And I found it. But I lost myself somewhere in the tide. I lost that innocence. I lost that connection. I want to come back, but I feel guilty about it now. You told me always keep you in my mind. I don't want to come back only when it is too much to handle. I thought I could take on the storm. I keep convincing myself that I can every day. It hurts to admit that I can't. That I may need to lean on someone, but I feel guilty about leaning on you. I feel like my ragged self can't come back to something so pure. I feel ashamed now. I want to mend that connection. I want to make my way back to you. I don't want to admit myself that I know how. I don't want to admit to myself that I know how, but I'm afraid that I'll mess it up again. But I'll try. For all I know, it could be better. So I shall ask your forgiveness with all the earnestness in my heart. I only ask you, will you let me walk back to that kind of faith again? The finding of a young heart. And I was so in love with this poem because it reflected every single thought that I had many times in my life. And I know that this is the thought that every single youngster has. I remember Bhagwan after Bhagwan started, after that big dynamite where he said, that go talk to Satyajit, he will pray to me. There are going to be echoes of that dynamite explosion, right? And one day I was entering the interview room and Bhagwan was standing with a letter in his hand. I entered, and the moment I entered the door, even before I closed the door, he started blasting me left, right, and center. He said, Dekho, look what your friends are writing about you. He said that you are too talkative, you are not deserving of Swami's grace, you are this and that, and your warden is writing against you, and and what is this? You are getting Swami. And he said, you are getting Swami a bad name. I've narrated this incident many times because that's a turning point in my life. And he says, because of you, Swami has got a bad name. And I cried, I broke down. He pulled me, he took my head and touched it to his chest. And the moment my forehead touched his chest, all my crying, I'd broken down, I started crying, and all my crying stopped, and he made me sit next to him, kneel down next to him. He sat on his throne, and he gave me one beautiful thing, right? So I asked for the forgiveness with all the earnestness in my heart, and will you let me walk back to that faith again, is what this child asked. And Bhagwan had answered to me in a beautiful saying. He says that, when you were a child, did you walk around naked? I was crying, right? I was just wiping my tears, and he's asking me, when you were a child, did you walk around naked? I was wondering, where is this question coming from? I told, yes, probably, yes, Swami. Will you do it now? No, Swami. He says, what you did then, as a child, walking around naked is perfect, but now it is not. So also, before Swami spoke to you, whatever you did was then. Now that Swami has started speaking to you, now that you are close to Swami, be different. Start afresh. With Bhagwan, all the damages that have happened because of being part of the rock system, the moment he starts speaking, that is all nullified. He knows he has a master plan. He knows how that needs to be. Or maybe all those damages, what you think as damages, are the unique elements of the rock that he sees. In his master plan, those are beautiful. He has a beautiful plan for every defect in the rock, what we see as defects. So these are important elements of the Jivatma thought process. And I'll just go to 3 more layers of this. The Navavida Bhakti was speaking about the Shravanam, Kirtanam, and those kinds of things in the beginning. Because once you realize that there is no way out, that you have surrendered, and you are available to him, then the Dasyam phase starts. You are allowing, saying that I am ready to be at your disposal. I am here to serve. You tell me what needs to be done. You want to have a stroke here, give a stroke here. You want to give a stroke here, you give a stroke here. Dasyam comes in, and then all of a sudden there is a shift in the mindset. I realized this came very suddenly to me in Kodaikanal, and this is one of the most important shifts in the mindset that happens to the Jivatma who is being sculpted, who is being continuously hit by the hammers of the Divine Master. He's learned to see the loving hand that is holding him when the other is creating the chisel, right? He sees the loving hand with which he is being held. He sees the tongs with which he is held when the chiseling is happening. But all of a sudden he realizes something else. I remember once I got the usual firing from Swami in Kodaikanal. I had come late, or Swami had come early and entered the bedroom, and I had to enter the bedroom in front of all the others. My rule was that I should go so that other boys don't feel jealous. You need to go and change your dress and be inside Swami's room before they all come. But that day, Swami finished his dinner like this. By the time I changed and came, I saw all the boys were outside. And Swami had to open the door, and then I had to go inside in front of all the boys. And I got blasted left, right, and center. He said that you are egoistic, you want to be seen by everybody else, you are too proud, and I will send you away, and this and that. And I cried. I said that Swami, that was not the intent. Please don't do this to me, And I was crestfallen. But somehow the next morning, I don't know where I got that courage. And he was having his morning ganji, and I said to Swami, Swami, Ninna Swami Kopadnapudu naku bhayam kaled Swami. He said that when you were shouting at me yesterday, Swami, I did not feel afraid of you. When courage comes, sometimes you get those nut case things, but somehow that came deep from my heart. I said, Swami, I did not feel afraid of you. Swami just looked at me and said, but Baba, but you cried well. But you cried well, and that was the end of it. But that was the shift. That was the biggest shift in my mindset, saying that those strokes which you considered to be the painful strokes, for which you need, as against which you need the balm of love, those strokes themselves are love. Those strokes are the loving strokes. That mindset, the pain that you go through, that itself is love. It is not the sweetness or the cajoling that comes after the pain. That is love, and this is the pain. No. When the moment that becomes part of your life, that becomes part of your consciousness, that those chisels are the true reflections of His love, that's when the greatest miracle starts happening in our lives. And that's where sneham comes. Then you are part of the whole game. You say, yeah, you want to hit me? Come, boss. Come do it. Right? That's how. It's a playful thing. Yeah, okay, let's do it together. That's the next one. When you say, you are willing to take any role. The Atmanivedana is where you realize the big picture. All of a sudden, that comes a time when you realize the big picture. Oh, this is what he's been trying to make. Oh, then I know that, okay, this is what is not me. This is the anatma in me. This is the ego that he's trying to take out. Oh, this is the lethargy that he's trying to take out of me. This is what needs to be removed. The definition changes that he is trying to take out. That becomes, this is what needs to go. And then it becomes a self-sculpting exercise. And you become part of the sculpting process. You realize that then we are on, and that is what Bhagwan pushes us towards, saying that how can the divine sculptor who was out there sculpting you, hitting you, how does that become internalized? And how does sculpting become a self-sculpting process? You've seen those images, right, of a rock and the sculpting. Because you have now seen the true self-image. You have now seen, if not the entire self-image, at least you have seen that part which is not you, not your true you. And the whole process of picking up, of creating all this drama, of putting those dynamics here, putting those bombs here, creating you as a prince, this, that, all those things, is to get to that point when you realize that, oh, this is the whole game. And dear brothers and sisters, I think we as those rocks, as we start coming to that stage of, oh, that's the whole game, I think that's going to be the most beautiful part of our journey. And we pray to Swami that He holds us, He doesn't let go of us, He cannot, He does not. But He blesses us with all the patience that we need, the patience that He shows. We'll talk about the patience that He shows in the next phase, about the sculptor, what the sculptor goes through, the agony of the sculptor, right? But let us pray to Swami that we as statues, we as the rocks that have been picked up, get to that stage when we say, oh, that is the goal of this whole exercise. Thank you. Jai Sai Baba.